Hey guys, what's up? Today I've got a really awesome class for you because I know a lot of people have been asking around, asking what a really good class is, what really good guns are, and I just thought I'd share this with you. And of course, as you can see here, is the SC2010. When you get to know it, it's an absolute beast of a gun. I haven't really used it since, well, until a few weeks ago. I hadn't used it since the game first came out. I think it was one of the first guns I ever played with, and I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't really know what to expect. And when I moved on to guns like the Honey Badger, I didn't really come back to it. I didn't really think much of it, to be fair. But I've come back to it, and it is an absolutely crazy gun. So what I like to run on the SC2010, as you can see here, is my silencer. I always like to run this as many guns as I can, because it just keeps you off the map. It dramatically lowers how much you're seen, especially on the minimap, and it makes you a lot harder. Makes you invisible basically on the minimap, which is awesome, which keeps you alive for a lot longer, which is basically the point. This is optional to people. I know a lot of people like using the muzzle brake instead of the silencer, as this increases the range and damage of the gun, but personally I often prefer the silencer over the muzzle brake, so this is what I run on this. Also got on extended mags, which I find are really useful. I don't use them that much, but I find they are really useful in this class, as not only does it give me more ammo, which I find is always a problem if I'm going on streaks, or even if I'm not on a massive streak, but it also means if you charge into a room and there's like 10 guys, even though there's never 10 guys on a team, but anyway, if there's loads of guys in there, you can take them all out and you'll be just fine. It also usually means that you don't have to run scavenger, which I like running scavenger, but I mean, if you don't have to run it, then don't, because it's just a waste of 2 perk slots. So I find running extended mags is pretty useful in a lot of classes. Now, these 2 attachments, I know other people like to run the red dot sight on, or some sort of optic on this gun, as they find the iron sights quite hard to work with. I did find this to be a issue when I first used the gun, but when you get into it, it's quite easy to use. Sometimes it's a little bit hard at long range, but it's not too hard to handle. But I mean, if you want to put an optic on it instead of extended mags, then that's also going to be decent setup. Now moving on to my secondary lethal and tactical, I am running absolutely nothing on this, and I do that with I think all the class I've currently got on, and I rarely ever put them on, really, as it is sorry, this is because I barely ever use my secondary, as I mean, you can swap it out for 1 perk slot and you always be using that perk, which might even get you a few extra kills in a game, whereas your secondary is probably only going to get you maybe 1 or 2 more kills in a game. So that's why I don't like to run any secondary, and that's the same with the lethals and tacticals, as it just opens up 3 perk slots. And as I said in other videos, perks are really important in this game, so they play a massive role. So that's what I like to do in that sense. Now, coming down to the perks, which is, as I said, a big part of it, I'm using ready up here, which means that if I get caught off guard, which I'll come on to later, I can get my gun up quickly and hopefully I won't be at a disadvantage. Now I'm using Stalker, as I usually want to be going around most corners with my sights up, and therefore I don't really need to have quick draw. But if I do get caught out, as I said, then I can easily just pop my gun up, as I've got ready up even. But yeah, Stalker is really cool. I've only started using it like 5 weeks ago, even, or pretty shortly, and I just can't stop using it on all the classes. It's really annoying actually, but it's an absolute crazy perk, although it does take up 3 slots, but I think it is worth it. It's really good, as I'm sure you'll know. And also, as you can see, next I am using Amplify. This is really useful, especially if you're going on streaks, as it allows you to know exactly where the enemies around you are. Well, I say exactly, it's sometimes pretty hard to locate where they actually are. It sounds a bit muffled, because I mean, I think they've put a lot of work into the normal sound of footsteps and the direction, and how you can hear where the direction of them is where they are basically. But when you use Amplify, I think that it just gets a bit muffled. I don't know if they intended to do this not to make Amplify too OP, but sometimes it is pretty hard to use and it just gets really confusing. But overall, it is a great perk to use. It helps you to absolutely turn on people, and it's crazy. And going along, using Focus, which is another good perk that I like to run on a lot of classes. It basically means if you get caught out in a gunfight and they got the first shots at you, then your sights won't get all over the shop and you still have a chance of taking them out, which is all good. And it also means that you have reduced sway when you're aiming down sights, which is also an advantage. Now, Gambler, as you can see there, I'm not really too sure about this perk, but I mean, it's only one slot, and I don't know, I sometimes run Resilience instead, because a lot of the time I find myself on a streak and then jump off a building and die if I'm on low health, which is really annoying, as some of you may know. But Gambler, you have the chance of getting Deadeye or other awesome perks, but you also have the chance of getting extra tactical, which is really useless to me, and especially on this class, as I've got no tactical or lethal or anything like that. So I mean, those sort of things are absolutely useless even, and I'm just really annoyed when I get them. So yeah, Resilience is another option you can run on this. That's also a really good perk I like to use. And Hardline, it just makes those streaks a lot easier, well, one kill easier to get, and makes those assists actually useful. I'm not sure about if people think this is a newbie perk or not. I don't really think it is, but I mean, some people have mixed opinions about this, but I quite like using it, as it just makes it a lot easier and gives your team the advantage if you're laying down some satcoms, or if you've got, well, anything really. It just helps your team out. Now coming on to strike package, I'm using the Assault, as I use in a lot of classes. The support package is also quite useful if you're like dedicated to going on a streak, like the Oracle. That can be really useful if you want to see exactly where people are. But a strike package I quite like, as I don't know, it's just something pretty awesome about getting into a helo pilot, and it's just awesome. So yeah, I'm running a satcom, almost call it UAV then. This helps me and it helps your team to see where those people are on the map, even if they've got a silencer on, but of course not if they've got ghosts, and it just helps to get the extra kills. And lastly, I've got the Trinity rockets on, and I've got the helo pilot. So pretty achievable to get, and one usually leads on to the other. So that pretty much summarises this class, which is absolutely awesome. I'd highly recommend it. So thanks for watching, guys. Please comment, rate, subscribe, check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next video.